Pittsburgh Steeler fans, welcome back to another episode of the Scho Bro Show. This is Steel Curtain Network editor Dave Schofield. It's Tuesday. It's a little after 9. Where else would you rather be, Steelers fans? And with me, as always, except when he's not, is my big brother Rich. How's it going tonight, Big Bro Scho?
Away we go.
Away we go.
Away we go.
I'll be honest with you. I feel like my week has kind of had the rug pulled out from underneath it. You know, we've got news to talk about with the Steelers and everything else, but man, when the news came out this evening that NFL teams were informed that they're going to be getting their schedules next Wednesday, that threw me for a loop. That's later than they've done it. It was, if they followed suit, it was supposed to be Thursday. It was rumored to be this Thursday. And now we got to wait an extra 6 days to get the Steelers schedule. I guess it's not the end of the world. It's just, man, as someone who does content, I was kind of, making schedules around it.
It's not the end of the world, but it is the end of the world as we know it.
It's the end of the world as we know it, because bottom line is, we did our mock schedule. We were ready to go. We had to get it in now before the schedule was released Thursday. And now, man, we've got a whole nother week plus we've got to wait for it. It's all right. I mean, it's not the end of the world, as you said, as we know it. But I don't know, just something, once that schedule gets locked in, I'm working stat geek stuff, still gathering numbers, trying to answer a question that KT Smith threw my way, in regards to the schedule. So just kind of threw me for a loop. But we got to change what we're doing next week for our show, because I thought we were doing our first show after the schedule, but that's not going to happen. Oh, well.
How about if instead of doing our first show after the schedule, how about if we do our last show before the schedule?
Yeah, but we don't do anything special before the schedule. But we talk about,
dude, I set it up so that we could make it seem like it was going to be such this great, wonderful show and you just let me down. Like, I set it up for you to paint us as these fantastic folks, and then you just killed it.
Well, the question is, here's my question to you: how much do you think we're going to know by this time Tuesday? Saying that they're doing it now, how many leaks are we going to start getting?
Yeah, well, because some of them are leaked on purpose. We'll probably get a few over the weekend and into the early next week. There'll be a few, yes. Yeah.
So, we knew the entire schedule hours before it was released. And Antonio Frazier, he's getting my report out there. Both Bad and myself had us opening in Denver. That's what we both had. That article was on the website. So, what's up?
I believed that as well even before your article went out. It's just because some people are like, oh, the Steelers are going to play open Sunday night against Baltimore. No, they're not. They're going to save that for later in the season. It's going to be Steelers versus Denver. You wait. It will be.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Thomas loves to bring up this question. He's like, so Dave, Rich, Goodell said something about 18 games for regular season. Is this true or false? They would have to do an amendment to the collective bargaining agreement. The last collective bargaining agreement in 2001. Yeah, 2001. That was the one when they first started with 17 games. That was a new CBA.
2021, not 2001. Just to clarify.
Say it again. I'm getting I'm doubling my zeros instead of my twos. In 2021, the last CBA, they had to agree on the 17th game. Remember, there was a whole thing where they're going to pass it. Oh, they're doing a 17th game. The players don't want a 17th game. A lot of stuff went into that. But part of what happened in that CBA was they could not change the number of games under that CBA. So they will have to do there would have to be an amendment, an addendum, whatever you would call, to the collective bargaining agreement to allow that to happen. The NFL just can't do it. The players would have to sign off on it. So that's just how it would work. So we'll have to see. It's funny. Corey Eckenroth threw up something. If Russell wasn't playing well, having the bye week 8 makes it easier to switch to Fields. We'll see where the bye week is. I have it at week 10. But I'm not worried about the stuff with Fields. My point was, Brian and I talked about this. The NFL knows what they're doing with schedules. That's why I think they put the Steelers going to Denver very early in the season, if not to open it, because they don't want anything to happen that would keep Russell Wilson, whether injury or play or anything like that, that would keep him from not being the guy when that game comes around.
Yep.
Yeah. So they know what they're doing. I talked about it on Bad Language. Last year, they specifically put Carolina and Houston against each other. I think it was either week 7 or week 8. They were both coming off their bye. I think it was week 8 because they both had week 7 byes. So your first 2 quarterbacks taken overall, or taken 1 and 2 overall in the draft, if they weren't starting to start the year, chances are they were coming in after the bye, and then that was your opportunity to have both of those guys matched up. So they do smart stuff like that. So we'll see how it goes. There was other news that affected Steelers Nation today that's kind of going to go into the topic of our show, where we're going to talk about, the Steelers' plan is never fully known. We like to make guesses about what's really going on, and we're going to get to that with some other news. But the other news today, the reason why it leads to that, is some Steelers fans were disappointed that the nail was finally in the coffin, that it was reported that Tyler Boyd is signing with the Tennessee Titans. So now a number of Steeler fans are up in arms about what are they going to do at wide receiver. And I say the Steelers' plan is never fully known.
Oh, let me tell you, you just wait and see.
Okay.
You just wait and see what they do at wide receiver. What do you think they're really going to do? What do you think they're really going to do, Rich? I don't know. I just told you to just wait and see.
Oh, just wait and see. Yeah.
Just wait and see.
And that's the thing. So, I mean, this is what we do. We speculate and regulate. That's kind of how this works. So what do you think the Steelers are going to do? Yeah, I think they have a plan. I think they have a plan B. I think they have a plan C. For all we know, they're probably already on plan F by now because things just haven't worked out.
No, they got plan F. They got plan F. No, plan F. They got in the draft and in the first round when they got one of your effing tackles.
Yeah, got one of the effing tackles. Yeah, that was plan F.
Yeah.
But when it comes to wide receiver, it's like, are they really just going to roll in? Hey, there's lots of. You're like, there's not many players left. Just because there's not many players left doesn't mean that there's not a lot of options. They just might not be great options or easy options to pull off, like trades, this or that. Now, any wide receiver that could possibly be traded is now being speculated to go to the Steelers. They're going to trade for this guy. They're going to trade for that guy. They're going to do it. Now, do I see the Steelers?
Yeah, so it's amazing.
Like
the Steelers are now trading for 10 wide receivers. Did you know that?
Yeah.
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 I mean,
so then, of course, people were saying, oh, they're waiting for June 1st because they're going for DK. Just because there's no way that the Seahawks could realistically trade him before June 1st doesn't mean that he's available to trade. It doesn't. I brought up something interesting today. I'm like, sometimes people don't realize that the Steelers' answer is there. They just might not like it. We were talking about wide receiver and everything
I saw that today.
After the whole Tyler Boyd thing. Man, it's funny because I know Jeff I was covering stuff in case it happened while Jeff was away for a little bit this morning and early afternoon. Had something with the kids with their school and everything. And he when we did the breaking news podcast earlier, well, not breaking news, sorry, sourced information podcast earlier. I'll get your opinion on that in a little bit because we'll get to that subject. When we did that, I said, so Jeff, did you go back and read all those messages? He's like, when I saw I had 75 missed messages, I did not. Because we had a big discussion going on in our random chat. Now, it's
Now,
funny because
just wanted you to know, really appreciated that from all you guys while I'm sitting in my boss's office. He and I discussing some stuff going on at work. And all of a sudden, I'm getting all these sounds popping off on my phone. And he's like, "Is that your phone?" I'm like, "Yeah, sorry."
yeah, and it's interesting. And we got into some interesting things. I pull out some of my pet peeves that bother me. But Brian Miswell brings this up. He says, if CA3 progresses, honestly think we are good at wide receiver. I brought that up as I'm like, that doesn't mean that the Steelers are good. But is that what the Steelers are looking at as a reasonable option right now? Because he says everyone seems to be sleeping on CA3. It's so funny. I want to know if how Steelers fans are on Calvin Austin now is how they're going to be a year from now with Corey Trice. Because all I hear about is how Corey Trice is going to be the man and he's going to be the answer at corner and blah, 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 blah. And man, the Steelers could really have something there. But that's what we heard a year ago about Calvin Austin when he didn't play his rookie year because he was injured. Now, are we going to have a repeat with Corey Trice? And Calvin Austin was a 4th-round draft pick versus a 7th. That's a big difference. So, and it's funny because Corey brings this up, which is what I was saying. He said, I think the Steelers view CA3 more highly than everyone else here. Because the discussion got into it. How well would Tyler Boyd have fit with the Steelers, with the players that they have, because he's in the slot, blah, blah, blah. The Steelers have a ton of slot guys. And I'm like, you know what? Calvin Austin III did not play the majority of his snaps in the slot last year. He played 57. I put some of the numbers out there. He played 57% of his snaps on the outside. Why? Last year.
Because Deontay was hurt.
Yeah, well, and when Deontay was hurt, that number went up huge.
Yes.
Because I where's the numbers? I know I threw this out there in there. Here we go. This is what I said. I was looking at Calvin Austin III stuff. Because I said I'll probably have to talk about this a bit on a podcast. So this is the one we're talking about. All right. 71% of his receptions and 79% of his receiving yards came before the bye week when Deontay Johnson was out. Honestly, I don't think he had a reception against the Ravens in week 5. So if I'd go back and check that. So it was really in 4 games. It was 53% of the snaps that he played were in the first 5 weeks of the season while Deontay Johnson was out.
Yeah.
Okay. And of those 53% of his snaps, that's when 71% of them came not in the slot, but wide. So he's an option that can go out there. Am I saying he's their best option? I'm not going that far. Am I saying he's the Steelers plan all along and we just don't know it? It could be. Doesn't mean I would like it. Doesn't mean that I think it's the best that they can do. But it would actually make a little bit of sense as well.
Yeah. Don't forget this. Don't forget that.
Okay. Read it.
UFL receivers become available in June. Thank you, Sherry, for
what
sharing
Sherry said.
Yeah. Correct. You have a whole other group of players that you could be scouting from for talent.
Yes.
So,
and you also have what's the number now? I can't remember. Hold on. Give me just a second. It won't take me long to figure it out. You have approximately almost 1,200 players that are on a roster that won't be on a roster at the very beginning of September.
Right.
So there are other things too, but the other thing that's tough is when you kind of seem like you're still missing a little bit. Then if you deal with some attrition at that group, then you're really in trouble. There was a big discussion going on of Roman Wilson. How much is he going to be involved early this year versus how much is he just going to be brought along? Then I was told that, the Steelers probably aren't going to bank on CA3 because of injuries. I'm like, He didn't miss 8 games last year. He had one bad injury that cost him a season. Oh, but he's little. He's small. Then the Steelers are screwed at cornerback because Dante Jackson's small. And he's had injuries in the past. So to me, I'm like, yeah, you have to be wary. Rich, I'll ask you.
Beware the crystal ball.
Yeah.
Because there is no way to prepare for everything.
I mean, think about it.
This goes back to scenario, and I think I've had resident assistants working for me in the past, and we sit down and they say, "Oh, we want you to take us through some scenarios where involving people and alcohol," and I'm like, I can sit here and go over 1,000 of them,
and the
first thing you deal with won't be related to any of the 1,000.
Yes.
So sometimes it's more than just trying to prepare for a specific scenario. What you need are skill sets to deal with any scenario.
Because I was going to ask you, Rich, what would concern you more when it comes to injuries? Size or age?
What did you say? Oh, size or age? Age.
Age by far, And the thing is, you just never know. Look,
being an old guy myself now, it doesn't take much near like what it used to kind of, for me to feel it.
Yeah. Hey, like Jay Riggins said, Tyreek Hill is small. What's that got to do with it? Okay. My point was Cole Holcomb, he had a pretty bad injury. That was friendly fire. How many friendly fire injuries did the Steelers have last year where they actually got hit by a guy on their own team? Pretty sure Minka's was as well when he went down for a while. And I know there was another one, but I just can't remember what it was. Where it was
there was the worry we had there at the end with that TJ had. Remember that he had maybe tweaked something when he got hit by, who was it?
Well, he missed the playoff game.
Right. When who bumped him there? Was it Benton? Was it
it might have been.
It was one of the interior defensive linemen.
Yep. You're right. Thank you, Steelers freak. TJ was a friendly fire. Yep. So what I'm saying is that you can't bank on injuries. You can't. And so something like, oh, they're more. Yeah, I can say that. You could say they're more susceptible to injury. You bring up the whole thing with Peyton Wilson. Well, if he doesn't have an ACL, I understand how that can be concerning. That's something physical. Oh, or they've had a bunch in the past. I get it. People talked about, Freiermuth and the concussions that he had early on. Well, he basically dismissed it. One of the times he was in the protocol wasn't even a concussion. It was just precautionary to see if he had one. So then we label, there's people were talking about this last year. Oh, you got to worry about Freiermuth with the concussions. He missed time last year, but was with a concussion. So sometimes we get so hyped up on injury and we're convinced that it's going to happen again that I'm just like, you can't do that. That's getting away from the whole thing of never really knowing the plan. But that was like, well, do you plan thinking that a player might get injured?
No, you can't.
Obviously you don't go into the season with one running back because chances are if you're running one running back the whole time, they're going to get dinged up. We've seen quarterbacks. My goodness, I can't remember the number that I pulled up before of how many quarterbacks actually started and played in all 17 games. It was single digits, I'm pretty sure, of all the ones that started. So you need that. But beyond that, you don't want to go in with, we only have 5 offensive linemen and that's it. You can't have a Pro Bowler backing up every All Pro. You just can't do it.
But you also, it's like, you can't have, like, you don't carry 10 offensive linemen because you don't have one in a backup.
Yeah.
And even though you say, well, you carry 8 or 9, right? Yeah. But again, like you're saying, your backups aren't at the same caliber, because if they were, they wouldn't be your backup.
They wouldn't be your backup.
Starting.
They'd be somebody else's starters.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yep.
So
got to be realistic.
Yeah, got to be realistic. So I mean,
be realistic.
So you have to be prepared. You prepare for injury. You don't plan on them. But we don't know. Back to wide receiver, because we got on that because I was talking about the CA3 stuff. Maybe the Steelers are fine with Calvin Austin III going into camp, and if it doesn't seem like it's working out, they want to answer it then. Maybe they have something in the works and we find out tomorrow. We just don't know the plan. But there's another plan we don't know about. You want to say something first?
And for me, not knowing the plan is still part of the fun. It's still what keeps everything fresh and active. Because it's like, okay, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Do something. Are they going to do something? Do something. Do something. All right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
yes.
It keeps us on the edge of our seats. It does.
And the thing is, how much were we like, oh, when are the Steelers going to do something with free agency? Are they going to do something? You know what? They did. I mean, it all works out. Sometimes it's just we would like to know the answers now. We don't have to know the answer to everything, and we don't have to know it now. But you know what? We're going to see what happens come September. But another thing that you never really know what the plan was. What were they thinking? You haven't been on a show since the Steelers declined the fifth-year option for Najee Harris.
Right. I haven't. And
I was wondering if you wanted to say anything about it.
Well, that got put into. I saw I don't know, one of those little, I call it a little meme picture on things today. That put that into perspective a little bit. Okay. Players who could have a fifth-year option. Were there more of them in the league that were picked up, or more of them in the league that were not picked up?
There were more that were picked up. I saw the number.
That was pretty close.
It was close, but I thought I remember specifically saying, so they did pick up most of them.
No, not most of them. I think the number was almost exactly half.
I was thinking it was 17. But I'm just pulling that out of nowhere. I could be way off. Okay. Samsonite. I was way off.
What's that?
Samsonite. I was way off. Sorry.
There you go.
Dumb and Dumber reference.
You're going to make me see if I can't find that thing real quick. But you know what I'm saying? So there are lots of teams that did not pick up fifth-year options. Though, ironically, the Steelers had two players.
Yes.
Because they now had Justin Fields.
Yeah.
I know everybody sits and says, hey, it seemed crazy because it's not too bad a deal on Najee. This is another one where I'm just like, they have a plan.
They have a plan. I just don't know what it is. Because I thought the plan was it wasn't that expensive. So you go with it. You just do it. But that's not their plan. As I said on our sourced podcast.
Would it surprise me if we had an extension worked out before camp?
Yeah.
Wouldn't.
No. I think it's more likely next year.
Would it surprise me if they let him play it out? Wouldn't.
Yeah.
Would it surprise me if they let him play it out and said, Najee, here's what we're willing to offer, but go check free agency, and if you can do better, do better.
Yeah. And when I said an extension next year, I meant prior to the league year starting.
Yes.
Maybe the Steelers felt to have guaranteed money locked in for 2 years for a running back was too much. I said that on the Source podcast. I mean, it's speculation. We don't know the plan. But what we did have from the Sourced podcast was that people that think there's a rift between the Steelers and Najee Harris, no. People that think the Steelers are going to trade Najee Harris, no. Okay. Because, I mean, and I said this last Thursday, I'm like, maybe the Steelers are like, hey, you know what? If you do that well, and we can't come to a deal, then it's not like they can't use the franchise tag instead of the 5th-year option. Now it's more expensive. I mean, I think it's going to be more expensive next year unless there's a crazy thing in the numbers that I haven't looked at yet, but it should be, which means he would get paid more. But if the Steelers really want him that bad after this year, it's almost like the Steelers are saying. I mean, I'm really curious of what the 2025 franchise tags would be. I'm actually trying to find it right now. I could tell you what they're projected for 2025 for a running back would be $13 million. You're like, well, you could have had him for less than $7 million. True. But maybe the Steelers feel better saying we'd rather invest $13 million after knowing how this year goes rather than $7 million before we know how this year goes. I don't know. I mean, once again, This is speculation. We don't know the plan. The plan is never fully known. Well, it's not net. Well, Jeff came up with that title. It's not like it could be never, but often the plan is not fully known. We don't get to see behind the curtain for a lot of what happens. So I didn't know if you were able to catch the Sourced podcast about everything with Najee Harris.
I did
not.
But
what are your thoughts on our source telling us that, you know, the whole trade idea is really, really, really out there, and that everything's good with Najee and everything?
How I say this and just, let me just say it short, sweet, and simple. Okay. This is the time of year where I try to be careful and not read too much into things.
Yes.
I'm not very good at reading tea leaves.
Yep.
My crystal ball is in the shop. It's just, it's where I will think about things, but I will never come to a definitive answer. So I just spend more time thinking about possibilities than trying to figure it out, because I'll never figure it out.
It's so interesting that you're saying this, because this topic of, reading the tea leaves and stuff, you remember we did a podcast on that.
Yes, we did.
It was almost exactly a year ago. It was the week after we did our schedule breakdown last year. So we're that time of the year where it's like, what's going on? What are they still going to do? And everything else. That's just kind of where we are. The plan isn't necessarily fully known. Anything else you want to say about that, Rich, before we take a break?
No, let's go ahead and break. It's a good time to do. And like I said, I try to keep my overall thoughts on that short and sweet. So, alrighty. So we're going to go ahead and take a break here. When we come back, we're actually going to probably turn to you all. You all had a lot of questions early on, and I didn't answer all of them. I'm probably going to let you fire them off there for a little bit. So if you're with us here with YouTube, Facebook, X, we're not going anywhere. If you're with us on the audio, stick around. We'll be right back after these messages. All right, Steelers fans, we are rolling on here. We talked about how the plan isn't fully known. Didn't even mention cornerback. We really don't know what's going on there, what the idea is there. It seems like it's lacking a little bit, but we could sit here and talk about it and try to dissect it. But I think the better thing to say is we don't know what they're doing, but they have options. We'll find out eventually, right? Exactly. It will become much clearer the further we go along and the closer we get to the start of the season.
Yeah. It's funny because what we're going to do now is we're going to take some questions. So if you guys have them, fire them off here in the live chat. I want to bring up something because Steve Genovich says Steelers want to sign Najee to contract. This per DK Sports. Go see DK. That's contradictory to the information that we got today. That if the Steelers wanted Najee now, yeah, they want to sign him to a contract, but I don't know that it's going to happen before the season happens. That's not the way it appears. Not that there's a problem, but I don't think that coincides with the other information that we got there. Okay. All right. Here we go. Afton wants to know this. Are you guys excited about anything coming up in the offseason?
Besides going fishing? Oh, you mean the Steelers' actual
Yeah.
offseason? Oh, I don't know about excited, but I'm always interested in rookie minicamp and OTAs. You know, I always like to see, because what those things do is start to sharpen the picture. You know, I said, you know, my crystal ball's in the shop, but the more things that happen that I get to look at, the clearer the picture and the crystal ball eventually becomes. So that's really just my excitement, just starting to learn more about what the plans are for this team.
Yes. So I'm excited. How do I say this? I'm excited to get new pictures to use for articles, because the Steelers will be on the field for OTAs, for rookie minicamp. We're not going to get a ton of information out of there, but it's just knowing that on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the rookies are going to be there. There's going to be guys trying out. There's going to be guys doing Steelers plays in Steelers uniforms. That's exciting. That's exciting. And you're like, oh, but it's football in shorts. Well, football in shorts is better than no football at all, as you've said many times, right, Rich?
Yes, I have.
But to me, the biggest thing I'm excited about, I got to wait another week for, because I want to see the schedule in order to break that down and to see, you could say, oh, well, are the Steelers going to sweep the Ravens again this year? Honestly, I think it really falls into how the schedule falls out. You're going to have some advantages and disadvantages based on the schedule. And that's actually something that I'm working on for StatGeek this week. So, all right. I'm looking to see. Here you go. We'll ask it. Sherry Richard wants to know, if Dallas offers a second-round pick for Najee, would you do it? I say no, but what about you guys?
Probably not.
I don't understand how a second-round pick next year helps them right now, because they really seem to be focused on 2024. So, and they're a better team with Najee Harris than they would be with the second-round pick of next year. That's me. So, okay. Here we go. Thanks, Mean Joe. Wanted to know, how comfortable are through the cornerback situation? Does the front office know more than they're telling us? Well, that's what we say. They do. We just don't know what that plan is. So you're falling right in line with the topic of the show there, Mean Joe. Rich, how comfortable are you with the cornerbacks?
I expect, not demand, I expect there to be more done at that position. Again, not sure what, but they have a plan.
Yeah.
Well, they have 6 plans.
Yeah.
So
I am very uncomfortable with the cornerback situation. They don't have anybody. I mean, the best way to say it is to look at Jeff's and my 53-man roster prediction that we did on Monday, and was on Monday's Let's Ride. And I'm like, when you look the Steelers cornerback depth chart, it's not good. I mean, the third name we listed was Corey Trice.
right.
Now, there's another player on the Steelers. I can't remember his name. He's got NFL experience. Jeff and I kind of just glossed over him a little bit. We didn't really consider him for the 53. We probably should have. I'm trying to find the name. Is it? Is it Josiah Scott? Maybe. I think it perhaps might be it. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's who it was. That is a possibility. But I'm like, look at these options. I'm like, I'm not really sold on Dante Jackson just because we haven't seen him in black and gold yet. And, he played a lot of snaps last year, but I keep throwing out the numbers of no interceptions, 5 passes defense. That's not a lot for a cornerback. And after him and Joey Porter, you have this drop off to a lot of young unknowns. That's concerning. But I think there's still a lot to be done there.
Yep, there's a plan.
Yep, there's a plan. We just don't know it. But where it is right now, I am not comfortable with that. People that are thinking, oh, wide receiver. I think cornerback. I mean, especially, my goodness, you don't have anyone for the nickel. You don't really. I mean, unless you're going to bank on an undrafted free agent that hasn't been to rookie minicamp yet, and Beanie Bishop, and they're not doing that. Yes, maybe he can. I expect him to get in the mix with things, but that's what you're banking on at this point of the season. Then you're banking on a high draft pick next year. I'll be honest with you, something that concerns me. If the Steelers are lacking at wide receiver and lacking at cornerback, and it's still that way going into training camp, do the Steelers get a false sense of security because their two weakest position groups are basically going up against each other? Oh yeah,
I had a feeling that's where you were going.
Yeah, that either the wide receivers or corners will look great. Well, that's because who they're going against doesn't. Yeah, that's an interesting one. So because that moves right into the next question from Pittsburgh Toddy that says, are the Steelers satisfied with the wide receiver room or are moves upcoming? Personally, I think the Steelers are going to add a wide receiver between now and week 1. The question is when and how big of an impact player would it be?
Yeah. Yeah, I expect to see something done at both corner and wide receiver. I mean, honestly, you just look at how everything's set up and you're like, yep, probably something coming at those two positions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah. Gavin Anthony wants to know, could the Steelers play KZ in the slot? That's a good question that I don't have the answer to. I do see the Steelers, if Deshaun Elliott's working out and everyone's healthy, having Fitzpatrick, KZ, Elliott as a 3 safety package where they could use that a good bit. I see them doing that. I see that being what the Steelers were doing the second half of 2022, right? 2022?
Yes.
Yeah, 2022. I could see that. They never got to really get into that last year because they had so many injuries at safety. Yeah. And I will say when people were saying this, because this isn't a question, but I'm going to bring this up as an answer. Brian Mizwa says there's still free agents out there, Xavier Howard, Stephon Gilmore. That's what I said when people were all upset that they went tackle over corner in the first round, is I'm like, you're not going to add a tackle that could grab a starting spot in free agency.
Yeah.
At a decent price. Yeah. You could do, they're still out there corner. So, yeah. I'm like, you weren't upgrading Dan Moore Jr. The Steelers still, that officially hasn't happened yet, but that's got to be something that gets won and worked out. But there's, the long-term plan is to upgrade Dan Moore Jr. You don't get a long-term plan of updating Dan Moore Jr. in free agency right now. You don't. You'd be better off running with him. So I still think the Steelers have things they could do with players out there like that. I just don't know money. I don't know fit. I don't know exactly how it would work out, but they have options. Okay. All right. I'm looking to see if there's more questions. Lots of great answers to other people's questions, which I really do like out there. People were mentioning a bunch of the young cornerbacks. Yeah, I agree. But banking on any of them right now was just foolish for the Steelers. Let's see. Yeah, like Thanks Me Joe says. Yeah, too many speculations make it scary. Exactly.
Or either makes it scary or you end up convincing yourself of the best speculation, and then when it doesn't happen, then you go into panic mode.
Yeah. So it's funny, but here, Steve Anders says, hey, they got $18 million. Don't you worry. Yeah, they got a little bit over $18 million. But honestly, they need $16 million of that eventually. Between the rookie draft class. Actually, it's less than that now. Because once I knew exactly how much the Steelers exactly how much they needed for, what am I saying?
I don't know. What are you saying?
The rookie class. Yeah, exactly what, their draft class. Because it's speculation before the draft. It's still an estimate, but it's pretty darn close. of what over the cap can come up with. But you never know if the Steelers are staying in those spots. What if they trade? What if they trade up? That changes it. What if they trade back, but have more picks? That changes it too. So now that was done, I was able to drop that number down. So I'm thinking it's like 15.7. I was going to try to find it real quick, but that there's eventually going to need anyway. But they still have other ways to do it. Like I'm telling you, still don't sleep on that. There's going to be a small extension for Cam Hayward to spread his money out. That's something that they can still do. So the answer is yes, they still have money. They don't have 18 million. But they also don't. They also more than what they will eventually need anyway. And 13 million of what they're going to need, they don't even need till September. So you still have other ways to do it. So they're doing good, but it's not like, oh, we could sign one person for $18 million right now and then we're fine. It's not quite that far. But you're right, Steve. You're definitely right. Let's see. Thanks, Mean Joe wants to know, what do you think about re-signing Patrick Peterson?
Might be an option.
Yeah.
But that's an option that does not have to be exercised until much later in the process. So, that might be planned way down the road somewhere.
I'm banking on that being the plan somewhat based on Mike Tomlin's comments at the owners meeting, or at the league meeting, I guess they call it now, because he said he did not dismiss that idea. And said, but that's not something we need to do right now. It's almost Mike Tomlin saying, we don't need him. We don't need to burden him with off-season stuff. He can come in later and help us out. He basically all but said it. And I do find it interesting that at the last time I checked, they still have not issued number 20. So I think that could very well be in the plans. We just don't know. Let's see. Looking if you say more. Which is the same thing. We had another question, which was the last thing you heard on Patrick Peterson returning to Pittsburgh. That's Rich doesn't like it, but that was me reading the tea leaves a little bit, right?
A little bit, but not too much. It's not so much reading the tea leaves. It's looking at things and saying realistically what could be a plan. And when you ask me about Patrick Peterson, that's not something that I look at and say we have to go and do tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's something we could go and do in June.
I was going to say July even.
Even, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that could just be hey, Pete, we're going to bring you back, but we won't make you do the off-season stuff. Let's announce your signing right before training camp.
Yeah. And and here's the deal. Unless we need you to start, chances are you're going to be sub-package guy as you're getting up there.
Right.
I'm fine with that. Yeah. People are still curious about Cam Sutton and what's going to happen with him. I mean, a lot of that legally has to sort itself out, and if there's any kind of suspension there and things like that. So
I was going to say, I think the legally was sorted out.
It's a misdemeanor. It's not a felony. He still has a misdemeanor thing going on. When because you read that. Did you read that?
I think so.
Yeah. So Pittsburgh Toddy wants to know, can Moore be a swing tackle given that he only plays on the left? It's not that he only plays on the left. He's just significantly better on that side. And if he's significantly better at left and we see what he offers at left, I don't think we really want to see him on the right, do you, Rich?
Right. But you think of it this way. You're saying your swing tackle. See, technically, your swing tackle could be one of your starting tackles.
That's what I was hoping you would say that, because that's exactly what I've said in the past. Your swing, honestly, last year, you're like, oh, well, Broderick Jones isn't starting. Is he the swing tackle? Well, here's the deal. He could have gone in on either side, yes. You could literally have it that your swing tackle is a starter, like you said.
Correct.
They could be your left tackle. But if your right tackle goes down, your left goes to right, and your other guy goes into left.
Correct. I mean, it can play that way. It's so
not ideal, but it's fine. It's not a big
exactly.
deal.
No, it's not a big deal.
Yeah. So to me, it's about having the third best tackle available, whether they can play both spots or not. You just can't have You just can't have all three guys only able to play one side. You've got to have one of them, at least one, that can play both sides.
Yes.
So we'll see how that all works out in training camp. There's a plan there too. We don't know what the plan is yet. If Fautanu's going left or right, if Broderick Jones is moving left or staying right, or if they're all just going to work it all and see what happens. And next year might be something different. Who knows? Some people are like, get them into their spot and get them settled in. I can see that if there's someone that struggles to understand how to run, how to block properly as an offensive lineman, what your assignment is, and how to understand how the offense runs. I get that.
But if they're good enough
but if you're good enough and smart enough, you can do it either.
Know both and learn them both. Right.
Yeah.
So
I would always say to linemen, you can think about what your block is, but really you need to know what everyone's doing. If you know what everyone's doing, then it just makes so much sense. But a lot of times, it's especially when, in high school and stuff when you're younger, you get so caught up on making sure you're doing what you're supposed to do as well. All right. Thanks. Me. Joe wants to know what free agent has you the most interested. Rich?
The next one we sign.
Oh, I thought he meant which ones we've already signed this year where I'm interested in seeing this year.
Oh.
I'm gonna answer it that way and say that's obvious. Patrick Queen.
Patrick Queen. Yes, that's obvious. Yes. Patrick Queen. If you mean that, if you're saying what free agent is still out there that has us the most interested, I would say it's the next one the Steelers signed.
Yep.
Because I don't have any interest in them until they're a Steeler.
Yeah. Yep. Wedge of Steel. So I don't know which way you were asking that, Mean Joe. So we answered it both. Rich answered one, I answered the other. Wedge of Steel says, do we know if Hot Rod could be utilized as a Z receiver? He's got a good 40 time, big size, and showed in training camp last year he can catch. Just depends on his route tree ability to separate. I'm not ruling anything out. I just don't think that's the Steelers' plan.
Yeah.
Because
don't know that it's the Steelers' plan, but you are right. And that guy actually amazed me with some of the catches he made at camp the day I was there. He like they were impressive. But yeah, I just don't know that would be the Steelers' plan. That would be the Steelers' like emergency plan.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, I'm sorry, Gavin. You said you thought Pat Pete was somewhere else already. No, he's not. Miles Boykin is. Who else? More recently, James Pierre. He signed somewhere. I don't know why I said Miles Boykin because he's a wide receiver, but I'm just saying if you're thinking corner, that might have been it. So, all right. You seen any more questions? I think I'm behind,
nope.
But I'm trying to. Sorry, I'm looking for question marks, people. So if it doesn't have a question at the end, I'm probably going to miss it.
Punctuation matters.
Yes, it does. So, you know what? We're going to go ahead and take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to do our 5 minutes and our big question at the end. Sound good? I mean, yep.
Take the break, Dave.
Sounds good. All right.
Just take the break.
Yep. We'll just take the break. So stick around. We'll be right back. All right, Steelers fans, let's get to it. Rich, you got a 5-minute question for us? We haven't done it for several weeks because of all the draft stuff. Do we have a 5 minutes of non-Steelers talk question?
We sure do. So It is getting to be that time of year, especially out here where I am, where it's finally now the weather's starting to break enough that it's time to fire up the old grill. So
or if you're just would you do it all the time and just put it on YouTube?
Sometimes I do it all the time, but right now it's really time to get and fire up the old grill. Love me some burgers and dogs on the grill. So then the question becomes, we could look at this in two ways.
Okay.
First of all is what do you do? How do you fix your ideal burger? And then part two is, if you're going out somewhere, where do you go to get the best burger?
All right, so I'm going to start this. All right. Where do you eat the best burger? I'm going to be really interesting to see what the people in the live chat are putting out there too. Where is the best burger, and whether it's at home or in a restaurant, how you have your best, the best way to have a burger, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, for me, you should probably know this. My go-to way to have a burger, if nothing else, is plain. You can have cheese. You can have cheese on your cheeseburger, but plain. Now, that's not the only way you can do it, but like, I don't want ketchup because I don't do ketchup. I don't want mustard. People that want to put that disgusting white stuff on there, unless you're talking about ranch, which I will get to shortly, because that is pretty good on a burger. To me, if I'm not sure how to do it, it's plain. When I make my burgers at home, burger, cheese, whatever I'm using for a bun, that's it. How about you?
Okay. See, you missed part of this. So you're making that burger at home. First, how do you season that burger?
Okay.
So,
a little bit of seasoned salt.
Yep.
Or even sometimes I don't even do anything.
I usually like a little something, because when I don't do them with anything, then I feel I need more stuff on it to get more flavor. So I'm a big fan of that little bit of seasoned salt.
I don't put anything on it if I'm cooking a pub burger, which sometimes for a pub burger I have it that has the bacon and cheese in it. So yeah, that's
gotcha.
Yeah.
So sometimes I use like a little brisket rub or something like that, and actually sprinkle a little bit of that on the burgers. There's different ways you can do them. Kyle also likes Kyle's come to like messing with things, and sometimes we'll do a little bit of a, let's see, what is it called? I think it's McCormick. It might be McCormick.
Yeah.
I forget.
That's what Afton has up there.
No, not a hamburger seat. No,
gotcha.
It's what's it called? Garlic and herb.
Okay. I've done that before. When I used to pad out my burgers a while ago, when I actually had time in my life, sometimes I would actually put some like garlic and herb stuff in it to pad them to do them out. But I don't do my own anymore.
All right. So then, Dave, where have you gone and had what you might consider to be the best burger you've had?
Okay, there's some good burgers. I'm gonna be honest with you. The key is getting the proper burger to bun ratio. You can go too light, and there is such a thing as too heavy. That you could have too much meat and not enough bun. That is possible. It's just a lot less likely. It's more likely that you're going to get too much bun and not enough burger. That's the one where you normally go wrong. That's why if I'm getting a burger somewhere, I'm always getting at least a double. At least a double. Got to double it. I saw someone say that they're believing it. I do like the burgers you can get at Red Robin. Those are pretty good if I just want a nice, easy burger to just get it out there. But one of our favorite places, and it's funny, my kids like it because of the chicken, is my wife adores going to Wahlburgers. And the only place we've ever been to Wahlburgers is in Myrtle Beach. We haven't been to one anywhere else. And that adds to me, I want to get back to the other thing I like to do on a burger. If I'm going to order a specialty burger where I'm not having just plain. It all started because they used to have this at Wahlburgers. They don't anymore, but you can order enough stuff to basically get it. If I'm going to put 3 things on a burger, I'm going to put onion straws, not onions. Onions are gross. Basically, onion straws or onion rings, which is funny. I don't like onions, but I love onion rings. It's weird. You can pull the onion itself out of it. Just put the breading on there. That's good. Onion straws, buffalo sauce, and ranch. Get those 3 things on a Wahlburgers burger or a Red Robin burger, and it's really, really good. How about you?
All right. For me, I can say 2 things. Locally here, Arrowhead Grocery and Deli on Deep Creek Lake makes a very good burger. It's seasoned just with salt and pepper.
Oh, wait a second.
But they do a great job of getting your perfect burger to bun ratio. You would enjoy it.
Yeah, okay.
Because
that's
the
the
burger
key.
to bun ratio is really good. Now, if you're going specialty burger, one of the best burgers I ever had was at the Vortex in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
It was called the Double Coronary Burger. So this is like two burger patties, 8 slices of bacon, 3 different kinds of cheese, fried egg, all in between 2 grilled cheese sandwiches.
That sounds similar to what I had at it was a diner. It was a little cafe or diner. It was in this little rinky-dink town. We were up in Erie, Pennsylvania, and my wife's great uncle, he's since passed away. Her family she has family up there, and he lived up there. He sent us on this expedition where he was leading us. We went to this place called the Spillway, where they say it's where the ducks walk on the fish. They had so many carp that the ducks could walk on the carp while you're sitting there trying to feed them, and they had stuff to feed them. It was crazy. But on our way back from there, back towards Erie, we stopped in this little town in this cafe, and I had something like that where it was grilled. It was grilled bacon and cheese sandwiches that were acted as the buns. Didn't have eggs on it, but you say that one had eggs? Had a fried egg?
Had 2 or 3 if I remember.
Yeah. Those are pretty good if you're going to do. And I ate the whole thing. It came out with a knife just stuck down in it to try to keep it together.
I will ask you one quick question because I know our timer's off. We need to get the big question. You remember the little shiny diner that was down next to the mall in Laverne?
Yeah, Penny's Diner.
Okay.
Yeah.
They used to have one there that was called the Hot Rod.
Okay.
That I really liked. Burger, Swiss cheese, bacon, barbecue sauce. It was wonderful.
What's your cheese?
I missed that place.
Yeah. What's your if you could pick any cheese on your burger, what would it be?
My staple go-to is American, but when I'm just wanting to feel something a little bit different, if it's matching up with bacon, I like Swiss. But I've had some others that I like. I've actually had one little place across from where I work that actually put smoked Gouda on a burger. Different. They also have I know everybody's saying they hate mayonnaise, but it's a garlic mayonnaise. And there's something else. I want to say some sort of like raspberry garlic mayo or something.
Wow.
It's really funky and weird. And I couldn't believe I even tried it, but I tried it and it was phenomenal.
Yeah. See, to me, it's the go-to's American. It doesn't matter if it's yellow or white. Either way is fine. But if you're going to switch it up, it's either, in other words, not American, it's either going to be provolone or pepper jack for me. So, yeah.
Gotcha.
But burgers, I could do burgers, love burgers. I know some people, Jeff is all about the charcoal. We were raised at our cabin with a gas grill. So to me, I think that tastes better than charcoal, but that's just me. I'm used to it because it's what I was raised on.
You only remember the gas grill.
Oh, I remember the charcoal back in the day. It just wasn't very easy.
we used to run the charcoal out there. I remember when at the cabin. I remember when we made the switch to gas.
Yeah. This is why what Afton says, like gas, instant gratification. Yep. If I want to cook 2 burgers, like tomorrow night for dinner, I'll probably have burgers with my wife and I. I'll put 2 burgers on the grill. I'm not fired up charcoal to do that.
No. And it's for the quick and easy. But certain things, I'll do burgers over charcoal. But the one thing that and I'll bring this up, but this will be for a 5-minute discussion another night. Okay. The one thing that I have to do over the charcoal are chicken speedies.
Oh, gotcha.
I have to do speedies over the charcoal, otherwise it just doesn't taste right.
One last final quick question with it. If you had to do quote unquote fast food burger, which one would be the best?
Actually, honestly, I'm probably going to go Burger King.
Burger King is pretty good, but I think slightly better is Wendy's.
No, I've never been a fan of Wendy's. At least the Wendy's that I've spent more time at, they're too greasy.
True. Well, yeah. Sometimes I'll be honest with you, not all Wendy's are created equal. I've found that out, especially with their breakfast food.
That's the same. That's the same with any fast food place. They are not all created equal.
Yeah, but see, yeah, but because the thing is, the Burger King is the grilled burger. So yeah. All right, here we go. We got to get to this big question quick. All right, I got to explain a little bit to you. I won't put it out there big times in words, but we're going back to the title of the show, where it's the Steelers' plan is never fully known. I want to know, Rich. And remember, wait till I put it out there and type it up and say go. It's funny because Kathy wants to know if Red Robber is considered fast. If you have to sit down and a waiter or waitress takes your order, I don't consider that fast food. That's just me.
There you go.
All right. I'm not talking about predicting the future. Like if you want to know, how many games will the Steelers win, or will they win the Super Bowl? I want to know realistic things that someone in the organization could answer for you right now. What would be the one thing that if you could pull back the curtain and know the answer to it about the Steelers, we'll say going into 2024, like at this moment right now, what would it be?
Probably, if I were to walk into the front office with a bunch of the front office folks, I'd be like, hey guys, what's up?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on over there in the cornerback room right now?
That's what are they really thinking in the quarterback room? Like, and with and you mean like with contracts for the future after this year, and are they really wanting to do various things? Is that what you're thinking?
Probably, yes.
Yeah.
Just and are we riding with the room the way it is? Are we going to make some moves? Are we going to tell me the corners? What are we doing?
Yeah.
So
you said cornerback. I thought you said quarterback.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Okay.
I was like, you thought I said.
Sorry, that's what I said about the contracts. Okay, good.
I'm like, that's why I said, what do you mean the contracts?
Yeah, cornerback. Okay, what's going on? Okay,
I want to go on corner.
Okay,
because there's just, to me, that's where there's still a lot of question marks, potentially.
Yep.
Because, like you said, even when you look further down the depth chart, currently there's a lot of unknowns. So you need to know more about that. Yep. You need to know what else we're potentially going to do. It's just where there is the most uncertainty. So if there's something I want to know, it has to do with that room.
Okay, so hopefully people are typing up their stuff now. I'm going to go ahead and put it out there while I answer my answer. People say, why don't you put it out sooner? Because we want to answer ours first. Mine is, what is your plan to start the season at center? Are you already banking on Zach Frazier? Or who's really your internal candidate that you've been talking about of your internal options you have at center? Because if something happens with Frazier, one, he's not ready, two, he gets dinged up, something like that, or you want to keep it, who's that going to be? Is it Herbig? Is it Daniels? And if that's the case, what are you shifting around? That's what I would like to know. That's like, okay, you know what? We might get that answer here pretty soon. Who's taking that first snap at center in OTAs? That's coming up here. I think the 21st is the first day. What is that?
Maybe I hear.
And how much are you thinking Zach Frazier right now is going to be able to move into that?
I hear the Blues are calling toss salads and scrambled eggs.
Yeah. Yeah, we had that. We dude, you missed that. I asked the trivia. You weren't there for
for
that one when we said Frazier.
So.
My trivia was what famous actress played Frazier Crane's first wife?
Oh man, that's a good one. Hold on.
Because if you remember, it wasn't Lilith. It was not his first wife. He was married before he ever appeared on the show. It's part of his backstory.
I can't remember. I can't. You're going to tell me, and I'm going to remember exactly the episode.
Because they took their son to the little concert thing. Her name was Nanny G, and it was played by Emma Thompson.
Oh, okay.
Her phone number was 555-6792. That was what I asked Brian. So okay, we got to get back to this. Thomas Riley wants to know, who is Omar bringing in that we fans can't see? Okay, there you go.
Good question.
I don't know if this was an answer to the question or not. Okay, where Mark Lancaster says the chances of Michigan beating are for a nickel. I don't think so. Afton says how the offensive line plans to build chemistry. Okay, working together and probably where they're playing and everything. Here we go. Mark, because this was probably Mark's answer. Chemistry amongst the tight end room. Will Washington become more of a receiving threat? I put this out there in our side channel. I'm like, because everyone's like, oh, Roman Wilson. I'm like, do fourth. Wait, that was third round. Do third round players, are they really in their plans as rookies? Because honestly, I don't think Washington was last year. I want to see him. I'm hoping that's kind of their stance because I want to see him more this year, not, based on that. Okay, Gene wants to know, does this team want to be competitive and was the team, or are they going to be individuals competing for a check? Okay. Yeah. Does the franchise, this is Mr. Woodside, does the franchise have faith in GP14 as a real W1? That's a good question. Because with all the rumors of the big name people they were talking about, what does that say there? Sherry Richards says, honestly, right now, what's up with Mike Tomlin's extension? Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Gavin Anthony, great question that he wants answered. Is Roman Wilson supposed to be the number 2 receiver on this team? Yeah. That's a good point. I don't know if I didn't skip or glitch, did I? That's all I got so far.
Yeah, that's all I was seeing.
Yeah. So that's all right when we get there. Because we had a lot of discussion about burgers. We really did with everyone in the live chat. So if one more pops up, I'll bring it up. But yeah, I guess we're not going to have a special breaking down the NFL schedule on Thursday night with myself, Jeff, and Brian, where the Steelers preview is. We might actually have to change up next week's schedule a little bit because of us having, because we'll do a breakdown of the schedule once it's released. We'll do that show. So there we go. Oh, I got to bring up Mean Joe. I got to. He says, where's the level of confidence sitting in the front office that this team is going to make a strong playoff run for this year? Okay. Does the front office think that this is the year? I think that's what Mean Joe's ultimately trying to say. Do they think it's the year, or do they think they're just building it that they still might be another year away? That's a good question. So, but yeah, if we have any changes to anything, we'll let you all know. Otherwise, you'll get all of our shows. We did have a slight change in schedule. We didn't have a black and bold bio this past weekend because Philip was actually I think he was bachelor partying it, getting ready for weddings, for his own wedding. So that was one little change we had, but we should be rolling through with a pretty regular schedule now. And of course, make sure you're checking out the website, steelcrewnetwork.com, for all your Steelers needs. Did we get another one?
Yes. Very last thing out there.
There we go. Brent Howe. I almost said Brett. Brent Howe says, will the fullback position be utilized with Connor Hayward? That's a good question. I think the answer is most likely not. I think they're done with more there. Sherry wants to know what quarterback you're looking to do an extension. That makes sense. So there you go. All right. So we close those up. Rich, what do you have to say here to close us out tonight?
I'm kind of like you. I kind of wish we were getting a schedule sooner. You want to know why?
Yeah. Why is that?
Because I want to figure out what games I'm going
exactly.
to.
Exactly. That's what we focus on. That's what I want to know. I want to work out what games we're going to.
Because I'm starting to look forward to getting back in the stadium again. Feels like it's been a while. Because, went week 2 and what was the other one? What was the Titans game? It seemed like my 2 games I went to were so early last year. So it feels like it's been a while since I've been in the stadium. But I'll hang in there. I'll suffer through another week of not knowing exactly what the Steelers schedule is. Although I can start to guess some of my games now. I just don't know, but some of it will depend on dates as I work through that. because, when do the Steelers, do they play Monday night? Do they play Sunday nights? Do they play Thursday nights? Where are we at? So, but until then, we'll stick to it. We'll keep an eye out for news. It would be nice that, wouldn't it be nice if we had an extra little piece of Steelers news that come out next week, since we're not going to get the schedule? That would be kind of cool. But one way or the other, it doesn't matter. We're going to be here because we're always here. Because where else would you rather be on Tuesday night than hanging out with the bros? Can't wait.